We start in London at 9 o'clock. Jets, Broncos. The Jets are 0-5 looking for their first win over the 3-2 Broncos, who just beat the Philadelphia Eagles. The Broncos' defensive line is the best in the NFL. I think there's really no debate at this point. They led the league in sacks last year. They're leading the league in sacks again this year. They just sacked Jalen Hurts 6 times in Philadelphia a week ago. The Jets' offensive line has the sixth highest sack rate in the NFL. The only positive signs on this Jets offense in general have been Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. Garrett Wilson's going to be seeing Pat Surtain a lot, and this Broncos run defense, although not the strength of this unit, is still a top 12 run defense in yards per carry in the NFL. Going to be a fun matchup between Garrett and PS2. Garrett caught 5 balls for 41 yards last year when he saw Pat, that's locked up for Garrett standards, but that's also not a good day for Pat standards. He did let up like a 25-yard completion to Garrett on a 3rd and short last year. So Garrett has 1 reps against Pat. Pat has 1 reps against Garrett. They have seen each other quite a bit now in Garrett's young career. I think this will be their 3rd time playing each other. I believe the Jets play the Broncos damn near every year. So it's a familiar matchup. They've seen each other a lot. Garrett Wilson is the only receiving threat on this Jets offense. He has 382 yards. The rest of the Jets receiving core combined has 158 yards. That is ridiculous. That's not including Mason Taylor. It's just the Jets receiving core. The Jets have no threat on the outside besides Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson's going to be seeing the Pat Surtain treatment. And Garrett has gotten the best of Pat Surtain at times, but Pat has also won plenty in his reps against Garrett at times. So I don't think Garrett's in for that big of a day. Not to mention how you can throw Pat on an island with almost any receiver, but a lot of offenses have a reasonable or at least reliable wide receiver 2 option. The Jets don't have that, so they can throw Pat. Pat can follow Garrett all day long, and they can still shade coverage to Garrett's side and be A-okay with Riley Moss one-on-one against an Allen Lazard or an Arian Smith or Tyler Johnson, and they'd fare just fine. So I think that this Jets passing game is in for a long day. And as much as I've been feasting on Garrett Wilson receiver player props because he's gone over his totals in 4 out of the first 5 weeks, I wouldn't touch it this week, unfortunately, just because of how I think this Broncos Broncos defense with Vance Joseph is going to scheme up against this Jets offense. That being said, there is a path to victory for this Jets football team. And before you're listening, be like, look at this fucking clown convincing himself the Jets have a chance. That's not what I'm fucking doing. Just hear me out for a second. There is a chance that there is like a path to victory that the Jets win this game. They're not going to be able to pass the ball on this Broncos defense with any type of success. They allow the 4th highest sack rate in the NFL. Their only receiving option is Garrett Wilson. He has 380 yards. The rest of the Jets receiving core combined has 158. Pat Surtain's going to be on him. They're going to shade coverage his way anyway. There's no chance the Jets are going to be able to pass the ball on this Broncos defense that has been elite. And I'm not saying the Broncos have a weakness in run fit, but the weaker part of this defense is their run defense. And the Jets are averaging over 5 yards per carry. They're tied for the 2nd most rushing yards in the NFL. The only problem is they lead the NFL in fumbles with 9. So if the Jets can just hold on to the ball, pound the rock, with now Khalil Herbert just signed and Breece Hall, who's having one of his most efficient seasons on the ground since his rookie year, hold on to the ball, no fumbles, control the clock, and for the love of Joe Namath, just keep that putrid defense off the field. The best way the Jets are going to play efficient defense is by keeping the defense off the field. They can do that versus this Broncos team. They just might have a chance. And I think it's completely reasonable. If they can run the ball, not get behind early, which they have in every game this season except the Steelers, and they can rely on the run game, lean on the run game, play with a lead for once, don't turn the ball over, they'll be in a decent position to win this game in London. A lot of ifs there. The biggest if, though, is just hold on to the damn ball. 9 fumbles in 5 games is ridiculous. And maybe, just maybe, we can create 1 turnover that would be very beneficial. But who knows? Because this defense is just putrid. So run the ball, hold on to the ball, because they've been running the ball. They're one of the best rush offenses in the NFL, quite frankly. They are. Literally, they are. They average 5 yards a carry. They're tied for the 2nd most rushing yards in the league. The only bright spot, and Garrett Wilson's a dog, but Pat Surtain's going to be on him. He's the only threat in the pass game. So That's how I think the Jets can win. All that being said, and I will be taking the Jets to cover. I fucking do it every week. I'm not going to bet again. We're going to ride. We're going to fuck. They covered against the Bucs with Tyrod. Fucking bullshit. I gotta wake up at 8 in the morning for this shit. Whatever. I think they cover 8. Okay. I didn't really talk about the Jets defense, but if you were, they're horrible. Like, take my word for it. If you haven't watched too much Jets football, here are some numbers for you. The Jets defense is 31st in scoring, 24th in total defense, bottom 5 against the pass, 28th in sacks, 30th in pressure rate. Going against a top 2 offensive line with a Sean Payton scheme. Yeah, we need to keep that. We need to keep them off the field. That's how we play defense, is keeping the defense off the field. Mason Taylor receptions, Mason Taylor receiving yards is worth looking at. I didn't look at it. I'm not going to look at it. But because of all the coverage, that Garrett's going to be the focal point of the game plan against every team he plays going forward, because he is, quite frankly, the only threat on this Jets offense in the passing game. Mason Taylor's been sneaky productive. A lot of it's come in garbage time, though. So, like, once teams start playing off, it's just check down to Mason Taylor. Justin Fields check down to Mason Taylor. But, I mean, I still think he can get vertical. He has caught a few nice crossing routes off of play action. So if the run game gets going, I think Mason Taylor can get like 50 yards on the ground. I think his line will probably be around 30, 40, 20, 30, 40 in that range. If it's in the 20s, you take the over. I haven't looked at it. I'll probably look at it at the end of the episode. Cardinals at Colts. Very conflicted in this game because the Cardinals have lost 3 straight games, but they've all been within 3 points. The Colts versus bad teams, they've blown them out, especially at home. They blew out the Dolphins at home. They blew out the Raiders at home last week. So it really is, where do you rank this Cardinals team? Do you think they're as bad as the Raiders and the Dolphins? I don't think they are. I think this Dolphins team is about as middle of the pack as it gets. And I think this Colts defense is slightly overrated. They have a good number of sacks, but the pressure rate is the 7th lowest in the NFL. The Cardinals offensive line also allows the 7th highest sack rate. So good matchup there for the Colts, but I don't think that this pass rush is necessarily disgusting. They get a lot of simulated pressures with Nick Cross. I think he has like a sack and a half. One of their other corners, too, his name's evading me. He gets a lot of sacks. But they do have some guys, obviously Kwity Paye, DeForest Buckner, Leatu Latu, and I'm none of those guys lead the team in sacks. I'm forgetting the name of the guy that leads the team in sacks. I don't want to say he's a nobody. Colts fans will probably kill me if I say that, but he's definitely not like one of the marquee guys on this roster. Either way, they do get a good amount of sacks. A lot of it's from simulated pressure. They don't generate any pressure with 4 generally, and Kyler Murray's a hard quarterback to sack. So I don't know how that matchup's going to play. I don't know who's going to win that battle, that trench battle. But the Colts CB2 position is weak, and their run D is 20th in the NFL. So I think the Cardinals will be able to run the ball, and they'll have moderate success against this Colts team. They'll probably look like the best offense in the NFL for like a quarter and a half and then just be mid the rest of the game, because that's kind of how this Cardinals offense has worked with Kyler Murray over the past 2 seasons. But Marvin Harrison Jr. is starting to look like the 4th overall pick that everybody thought he would be. That top end, one of the best receiver prospects ever coming out of college, which he was. Tape backed it up at Ohio State. He's starting to get some confidence now. That Thursday Night Football game against Seattle, he was a beast. Last week against the Titans, he was a beast. They probably should have leaned on him more later on in that game. That's neither here nor there. This Colts pass defense isn't that good, man. Charvarius Ward's his average corner in this league. He's not what he was in Kansas City. There's a reason he's on his second team since KC, which was only 2 years ago. Kenny Moore is coming back from injury. They do have pretty decent safeties in Cam Bynum. I think it's Cam Bynum or Byron Murphy. I always get them confused. Let me check the depth chart real quick. This is bad. I always get them confused. I think it's Cam Bynum. I think Byron Murphy's still on the Byron Murphy's on the Vikings. Cam Bynum's on the Colts. I don't want to get it confused and sound like a clown, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. Cam Bynum on the Colts. Correct. So Cam Bynum, Nick Cross, very good safety duo. Nick Cross is one of the best, like, Buda Baker-esque players that doesn't get talked about enough, by the way. So I think this Colts secondary is solid. It's not great. Their CB2 position is a huge question mark. Right now it's Jonathan Edwards because Xavier Howard was playing so bad he needed to hang up the cleats. Respectfully, he was a stud in Miami. Let's not forget that. And this Cardinals defense has some guys. So the moral of the story, the point I'm trying to get across is the Cardinals are not as bad as the Raiders or the Dolphins. They're not as bad as the teams that the Colts have been blowing out. I think they cover 7.5 easily. Easily, because they have guys on the defensive side of the ball. They really do. Josh Sweat has been incredible. He has a sack in 4 straight games. He's among the league leaders in sacks so far. Calais Campbell has 3 sacks as well, even though that guy is basically in a museum because he's fossilizing. He's having a productive year. Will Johnson's been a revelation in the secondary if he can play. They have a third-year player, Cattell something. He wears number 13. That guy's been flying around the field every time I look and I'm watching the Cardinals play defense. The Cardinals have guys on the defensive side of the ball. They really do. They have guys that can impact the game. Can they get pressure? Can Calais Campbell and Josh Sweat get pressure against this Colts offensive line that I think is playing like the best offensive line in football, them or Denver? I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's where the difference is going to be. Can the Cardinals offensive line keep this Colts D line at bay? I think I want to lean yes. I want to lean no, but can Josh Sweat, Calais Campbell get home against this Colts offensive line? I want to lean yes. It's very hard. That's where the game will be decided. But I think this Cardinals team, I think 7.5 is very disrespectful. They've lost 3 straight, but they've all lost by less than 3. The Colts have looked dominant against trash teams. I think the Cardinals are bad, but I think trash is a different layer. I think the Cardinals are mid. I think they're like a 17 to 20 range in terms of NFL teams, but they're good enough to hang around and be chippy. The Cardinals have a top 7 run defense in the NFL. They're top 12 pass D. If Will Johnson plays, I think they match up these corners, this young group of corners, young secondary aside from Budda Baker matches up well. Is Budda Baker playing? Pretty sure he's healthy. This young secondary matches up well with this Colts group of pass catchers and Michael Pittman, A.D. Mitchell. Tyler Warren's a real issue, but Budda Baker, right? Josh Downs. Alec Pierce is questionable, I believe. So I think this young, fast, technically sound, Will Johnson's a dog, Cardinals secondary can contain this group of Colts pass catchers and this Colts passing offense that has been absolutely electric. And as good as Jonathan Taylor has been filling up the stat sheet, haven't been the most efficient offensively. The 15th most yards per carry in the NFL, this Colts offense. So it hasn't exactly been elite from an efficiency standpoint. I think the Cardinals cover this total. I think the Cardinals have a chance to win this game. 2 weeks ago, I said the Giants have a chance to beat the Chargers. They beat them. Last week, I said the Titans have a chance to beat the Cardinals, and did I say that wrong? I might have just butchered that. 2 weeks ago, I said the Giants had a chance to beat the Chargers outright. They beat them. Last week, I said the Titans have a chance to beat the Cardinals outright. They beat them. The upset pick for this week is the Arizona Cardinals in Indianapolis against the 4-1 Colts. The Colts are 7.5 point favorites. I think the Cardinals cover that spread. I think the Cardinals win outright. This Colts defense is getting slightly overrated. This Colts team as a whole, I think they're very, very good. I think their value, they're getting very overvalued in the betting markets right now. I don't think they're 7.5 points better than this Cardinals team if this Cardinals team is fully healthy. Will Johnson's been a revelation on the defensive side of the ball. Calais Campbell is still playing at a Pro Bowl level. Believe it or not, he has 3 sacks. Josh Sweat is playing, dare I say, fringe all-pro level. He has 6 sacks. He has a sack in 4 straight games. He's been electric. I think if this Cardinals pass rush can get a little bit of pressure on Daniel Jones, and Will Johnson plays, and this Cardinals secondary can contain this group of Indianapolis pass catchers, which I think they can, long enough for some pass rush to get home, disrupt Daniel Jones, because that's the thing. Daniel Jones hasn't been getting touched at all so far this season. This Colts offensive line is playing at another level, and as good as Jonathan Taylor has looked filling up stat sheets, they're 15th most yards per carry in the league, so they haven't been elite from an efficiency standpoint, and the Cardinals have a top 7 run defense in the NFL as well. So I think the Cardinals will be able to contain this Colts offense just a little bit. And Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting confident by the game. Ever since that Seahawks game on Thursday Night Football, he's looked like a completely different player. Trey McBride's a beast. This Colts secondary isn't that good. Charvarius Ward's a good player, but their CB2 is a big question mark right now. Xavier Howard retired because he couldn't keep up anymore. He was starting at the CB2 position. Cam Bynum's a good player, not really elite. Nick Cross is good in run fit, not really good in pass coverage. And this Colts defensive line generates a lot of sacks, but their pressure rate is really low, which is weird to me because usually those correlate, but they haven't been. It's a lot of simulated pressure. Nick Cross is like second on the team in sacks, a lot of simulated pressure, a lot of blitzes from the secondary. If Kyler Murray can pick those up, Kyler Murray can have time in the pocket. I think they hang around in this game. I think 7.5 is free cover, and I think the Cardinals have a chance to win this game outright on the money line. That's the upset pick for Week 7. Chargers at Dolphins. The Chargers are 3-1. The Dolphins are 1-4. The Chargers don't have an offensive line. And the strength of this Dolphins team is in the pass rush. Bradley Chubb, Chop Robinson, Jalen Phillips, Zach Sealer. So if Joe Walton, Trey Pipkins, and Mekhi Becton, who are all questionable, don't play, you got to take the Fins in this game. Justin Herbert's just been running for his life. Running for his life since that Giants game 2 weeks ago when Joe Walton went down. If they do play, though, you take the Chargers all day long because the Dolphins, no chance that these guys can cover the Chargers wide receiver core. They allow the 4th most yards per catch in the NFL. They also allow the 2nd most yards per carry in the league. So if Mekhi Becton plays as well, I talked about it earlier, that guy is a fucking mauler in the run game, fellas. Let me tell you, that guy pancakes central in the run game. He's like 6'9", 300 pounds. He just moves bodies. He moves mass. He creates lanes in the running game. Even though Marion Hampton isn't playing, which sucks because I would have been all over his player props for this game, I think Kamani Vidal and the other guy, not remembering his name, I'm not going to even bother. Doesn't matter. I think they'll be able to efficiently run the ball if Joe Walt and Mekhi Becton play. If they don't play, you take the Dolphins. The Chargers have a top 10 pressure rate as well. Tui Pelotu, he can wreck a game. We saw it against the Giants, even though the Giants ended up winning. The Dolphins' offensive line is garbage. The Chargers' run D is a little bit suspect. 7th highest yards per carry allowed in the league, but the Dolphins also have injuries all over their offensive line. So it really boils down to this. If Joe Walt plays, take the Chargers. If he doesn't play, take the Dolphins. If Joe Walt and Mekhi Becton plays, take Kamani Vidal or whoever the running back, Hassan Haskins, I think the running back is, take their rushing prop totals because they'll be able to run the ball down this Dolphins defense. Take the Chargers if Joe Walt plays. And if Mekhi Becton and Trey Pipkins are also playing, then it's without a doubt. If they don't play, you take the Chargers if they play. If they don't, you take the Dolphins. Pats 3-2 at New Orleans 1-4. The Pats are 3.5-point favorites. The Pats are blowing out the Saints. I don't know why it's only 3.5. I think they're trying to get people to bet New Orleans with that half point being the hook. The Pats are on a different level than New Orleans, and I think that's clear now. Ever since getting Christian Gonzalez back, this defense held the Panthers to 13. It's the Panthers, whatever. But they held the Bills, who've averaged 30 for the past 3 seasons now, it feels like. But second highest scoring offense going into this game, they held the Bills to 20. The Pats defense also held James Cook to 3.3 yards per carry. And with Chris Olave going to be in Christian Gonzalez jail, the Saints offense will not be able to move the ball against this Patriots defense. I don't care that the Patriots don't really have an effective pass rush. They have a good run defense, and they'll be able to lock up this group of Saints pass catchers. And Drake May has looked incredible, and Diggs is coming off back-to-back 100-yard games. I don't think Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to be able to cover him. I don't think anybody's going to be on the Saints defense is going to be able to cover Diggs or Hunter Henry or Booty or whoever the Patriots throw out there, probably those 3 guys. So I think the Saints pass rush isn't horrible. The Pats O-line is the weakest part of this team, 4th highest sack rate in the league, but I don't think it's going to be. I don't think Carl Granderson, who's having a good year, isn't going to be enough. I think the Pats blow out this Saints team, who is similar talent level to the Panthers, probably less talented than the Panthers, and the Pats took care of them, no problem. Pats route, you take the Saints, or you take the Pats minus 3.5. Browns at Steelers. This is a very interesting game. Pittsburgh is 6.5-point favorites. The Steelers do not have the offensive line, they do not have the run game, or they do not have the weapons. And they do not have the weapons to be able to move the ball on this Browns defense. Conversely, though, the Browns are playing a rookie quarterback versus a Tomlin defense that is consistently top 5 in turnovers, and they are second in total turnovers so far this year, despite having a bye week. So I think this game is going under. I think it's smashing the under 39. but I think the Browns cover. The Steelers are going to win, but the Browns are going to cover. Quinshon Judkins has been a beast. He's averaging 4.8 yards per carry, and we've seen Breece Hall tear up this Steelers defense. We saw Kenneth Walker tear up this Steelers defense, but the last 2 weeks that the Steelers played football, they did contain the Vikings rushing attack and the Patriots rushing attack. Counterpoint to that, though, the Vikings' whole offensive line got injured in that game in Dublin, and Patriots' offensive line is just horrible. Plus, they aren't exactly the same. Like, Jordan Mason's look good. He's not a Breece Hall or a Kenneth Walker. And Ramondre Stevenson, Travion Henderson, Antonio Gibbs, and any combo of those guys are not an elite RB either. Judkins has looked like an elite running back. I think that's where the offense will come, but I don't think it'll be enough. I think it'll be a lot of bending, don't breaking. I think kicking point player props are active in this game. And the Steelers, I don't think will have any type of offense. I think DK Metcalf's going to be matched up on one of the best corners in the league, and their rushing attack averages 3.3 yards per carry. They don't have the offensive line to block Mason Graham, Myles Garrett, and company. They're like 8th in the league in sacks, would have a 12th highest sack percentage, but Aaron Rodgers gets the ball out the fastest in the NFL. So that's a little bit concerning. I think Cleveland covers. I think it goes under. I think the Steelers win this game 13-10. Cowboys 2-2-1 at Carolina. Dallas is 3.5-point favorites. Another quick one here. The Cowboys offense is going to put up 40 against this Panthers defense. Dak Prescott's playing at an MVP level, and even though there's a lot of question marks on that offensive line in terms of who's going to be playing due to injury, it doesn't matter if they roll out their offensive line from 2016 and bring those guys out of retirement, because this Panthers defense generates 0 pass rush. They have 5 sacks in 5 games, and they have an 8% pressure rate. Dak is playing at an MVP level. If you give this guy time in the pocket, he's going to carve you up, CeeDee Lamb or not. You saw it against the Jets. They didn't get any pressure with backup offensive linemen. The Jets do have a better pass rush marginally, still garbage, marginally, than the Panthers. Dak and this offense is too good for Bryce Young and this offense to keep up. In order for the Panthers to cover the spread, they're going to have to score like 30 points. I don't think Bryce Young has that in him. Oh, but they scored 30 points against Michael Penix. There was a pick 6 in that game. I don't want to hear it. The Cowboys are going to blow out the Panthers in Carolina, but they're 2-0 at home. Again, don't want to hear it. Who'd they beat at home? I know they beat the Falcons. I don't even know who the other team was. They had to have been dog. I'm not going to curse, but bad. Cowboys -3.5. Take the Cowboys alternate line at 6.5 and the alternate line at 9.5 and 13.5 as well. Rams at Ravens. Another blowout here. We're getting blowouts all day. Rams -7.5 all day long against the Ravens. Take some alternate spreads in this one as well. I think it's going to get ugly really fast. We saw what this Texans offense did to this Ravens defense. And the Ravens defense is getting a little healthier. Not really. Limited at Wednesday practice was Ronnie Stanley, Zay Flowers, Kyle Hamilton. Didn't practice was Roquan Smith, Lamar Jackson, Chidobe Awuzie, and Marlon Humphrey. So this secondary that was getting cooked even before all of the injuries is going up against the number 1 passing offense in the NFL with the most productive receiver in the NFL, the best receiver duo in the NFL, with a pass rush that is 29th in pressure rate, 30th in sacks. And on the other side of that defense, when they're not on the field, it's going to be Cooper Rush that they're going to be relying on to score some points. Matt Stafford is going to throw for 600 yards and 10 touchdowns in this game. It's going to be a bloodbath. The Ravens season starts after the bye. The Ravens season starts after the bye. Cooper Rush, not the guy. And you can be like, well, maybe Derrick Henry puts together a Derrick Henry masterclass. That's the only path to victory. But the Rams have the 4th best run defense in yards per carry, allowing just 3.5 yards a carry. So another rough day for Henry is inbound. The Ravens are in for a long day. I think you take the Rams -7.5. You take them to win by 20, quite frankly. That's what it is. And the most intriguing game of the 1 o'clock slate, best for last. Seahawks at Jaguars. Seattle are 1.5-point favorites. Jacksonville has 6 O-linemen questionable, 4 starters, 2 backups, and they're going up against one of the best front sevens in football, particularly up the middle. And what the Jaguars love to do is run the football. I don't think they'll be able to do that. Where I have it somewhere in my notes. Hold on. That's bad podcasting, bad YouTubing. Either way, last week, the Bucs were not able to run the ball. Rachaad White, although he put up good fantasy numbers, very efficient. I don't even think he averaged 3 yards a carry on the ground. they did all their damage in the passing game, which makes sense because Julian Love and Devin Witherspoon didn't play. 2 starters in that secondary, 2+ starters in the NFL, mind you. Well, Witherspoon, Love, and Riq Woolen are all questionable again. And offenses have been moving the ball well against the Jags, so I think if Seattle can limit the turnovers, which is a lot easier said than done against this Jaguars defense, they'll be able to handle this game pretty easily. As good as the Seahawks defense is they're third in the NFL in missed tackles, which I thought was interesting, and bottom 10 against the pass. But where they excel is in run fit. They're allowing the second most yards per carry in the NFL at 3.3, and this Jags offense relies on its running game. So I think the Seahawks win this game because the Jaguars aren't going to be able to run the ball as efficiently. The Seahawks allow just 3.3 yards per carry. They are elite in the middle of that defense with Ernest Jones as the Mike or off ball. I don't know what the Mike or Sam. I don't know who's who. It switches every play. Whatever. Moral of the story: the Jaguars aren't going to be able to run the ball against the Seahawks defense the way they've been running the ball all season long. The Seahawks defense allows 3.3 yards per carry. Byron Murphy, Leonard Williams, up the middle is elite, and Jaron Reed. And if DeMarcus Lawrence plays as well, that would be a huge boost for this run defense. I can't speak. I'm fucking losing my mind here. Last game of the episode. Last game of this part of the YouTube video, and I'm just shitting the bed. What do you know? Water break, lock in. Moral of the story: the Jaguars are not going to be able to run the ball on the Seahawks defense because Byron Murphy, first round pick last year, is an absolute beast. Leonard Williams, absolute beast. Ernest Jones is questionable, but if he plays, absolute beast. And if they can't run the ball, and Riq Woolen, Devin Witherspoon, Julian Love all play, I think they'll be able to contain this passing attack with just Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter for 40% of the snaps because they don't want to put him on the field, which makes no sense because every time he touches the ball, he's a pure electric factory. The Jags also don't get sacks. Only 7 on the year, and that's how you beat Sam Darnold. They just traded away Tyson Campbell for Greg Newsome. Greg Newsome can't cover JSN. Nobody on this Jacksonville defense will be able to cover JSN either. The Seahawks take care of a Jaguars team that is riding a little bit too high. Seattle -1.5. Now let's get into the 4 o'clock games. Before we do, make sure you download propspot.ai and use code DSOC for a 1-week free trial of a free AI algorithm prop picker, player prop picker. AI algorithm takes into account the likelihood of a bet to hit, puts it on a scale of 0 to 1. It's called a confidence score. The closer to 1, obviously, the higher the confidence in the algorithm that the bet will hit. It is a cheat code. It is a cheat code. Use code DSOC. Download propspot.ai. Use my code. Get 1 week free trial. What it likes for Thursday Night Football, since I'm recording this before Thursday. So if these bets hit, then you know it's heating up. The algorithm's heating up. It is. Jackson Dart over 18.5 completions and Jalen Hurts' longest pass completion of 35 yards. If those hit on Thursday, then you have to go. If you're listening to this or watching this not on Thursday or after Thursday Night Football, you need to go download PropSpot AI if both of those bets hit. If one of them hit, you got to go and download it. Use code DSOC for a 1-week free trial. All right, 4 o'clock games. We have the Titans traveling to Vegas. The Raiders are 3.5-point favorites. The Titans offensive line has been playing, or the Titans offensive line, has been playing a lot better. Only 4 sacks in the last 2 games, and the Raiders have the lowest pressure rate and lowest sack percentage out of any teams, or any team the Titans have played so far. So this will be the worst defensive line the Titans have seen. And I think if Cam Ward has time in the pocket, we can see a potential breakout here because Calvin Ridley can get open on this putrid Raiders pass defense. The Titans defense also hasn't been able to create some turnovers. They have 8 turnovers, tied for the 5th most in the NFL. Geno Smith leads the league in interceptions. The Raiders are second in turnovers committed with 10, which is the second most in the NFL. I think Cam Ward breaks out versus this bad Raiders defense, and I think they cover 3.5. I don't know if they win, but they cover 3.5. The Titans defense also horrible, so Genti could be in for a very, very big day. And if they control the clock, Geno doesn't turn the ball over, the Raiders should win. But the Titans have been good at creating turnovers, and the Raiders give the ball away. Cam Ward building confidence. This Titans team may be building confidence. Good vibes team after a miraculous win against the Cardinals. I think they can win this game outright. I think they cover 3.5. But if Geno doesn't turn the ball over, Gentry gets the run game going, the Titans are shit out of luck. Bengals at Packers would have been a thriller if Joe Burrow wasn't hurt. But Joe Flacco, the whole thing with Joe Flacco to the Bengals now that they play the Packers this week is like, well, Joe Flacco beat the Packers. He beat the Packers. They're going to beat him this week, right? Joe Flacco threw for 140 yards on 21 of 36 for no touchdowns and an interception with a 30 QB rating against the Packers. The Browns defense beat the Packers. Joe Flacco didn't. The Bengals offensive line is horrendous. Flacco is an absolute statue. He can't move. The Packers defensive line's coming off a week of rest. The Bengals defense is garbage. The Bengals are screwed in this game. All that being said, I think Flacco's going to mess around here and give us a little backdoor cover. Because Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown, objectively the best weapons Flacco's ever had to work with in his career. We saw Jake Browning attempt a backdoor cover against the Lions last week, but the Lions cover every spread imaginable. So I think Joe Flacco is an upgrade from Jake Browning, who's a statue in his own right. And there's no doubt that Joe Flacco can process defenses faster. So I think he'll be getting the ball out quick. He'll need to against this Packers defense. So I think the Bengals can be a little bit frisky here, and a backdoor cover is in the books here. I also love Chase Brown over his receiving yards because Jake Browning goes through his reads the same, and the defense goes through Jake Browning's reads with him. So by the time he gets to the check down, half the defense is already there, and Chase Brown just gets hammered the second he catches the ball. So I think Chase Brown over receiving yards is in play here too. And that was such a key part of Chase Brown's game last year when he was a productive fantasy option. It was his receiving work. We haven't seen it because Jake Browning stinks. All right. But the marquee matchup, we're flying through today's episode. Holy shit. The marquee matchup for today, though, or for Sunday, is the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the San Francisco 49ers. The 49ers travel to Tampa Bay, where the Bucs are 3.5-point favorites. The Bucs run defense is very good. They average 3.8 yards per carry. They're allowing 3.8 yards per carry. The 49ers rushing offense, the worst in the NFL, 3.1 yards per carry. So good matchup there for the Bucs. I don't think they'll be able to get anything going on the ground. But I do think Mac Jones and the way he's been playing in the San Francisco 49ers offense, which is quick passing game, I think that does match up good for the style of defense Todd Bowles likes to play, which is a lot of man coverage, a lot of blitzing, although very disguised blitzing. So Mac's gonna have to read defenses nice. Like he'll always have a bunch of guys at the line. They'll send one, but then he'll drop off like a robber blitz, I think it's called. So all types of different stuff going on with this Todd Bowles defense. Nothing Mac Jones hasn't seen before, been in the NFL for a little while now. And if he's getting man coverage on the outside and guys are blitzing fast, he was very efficient getting the ball out fast against a Rams defense on Thursday Night Football a week ago. So I think the 49ers offense matches up well with the style of defense Todd Bowles likes to play. And offensively, though, I think the Bucs are going to have a day throwing the football against this 49ers defense because they are without Yetur Gross-Matos, Nick Bosa. They're relying on rookie Mykel Williams and Bryce Huff to rush the passer off the edge. And this Bucs offense, they'll get open. Even if it's just Emeka Egbuka and Sterling Shepard, they're going to get open. Very nice scheme. They really haven't taken a step back after losing Liam Cohen last year. Chris Godwin is questionable. Tristan Wirfs is questionable as well. So if Tristan Wirfs doesn't play, that changes this whole game. He's the best tackle in football. But Baker Mayfield with time is going to tear apart this beat-up 49ers secondary that isn't good to begin with. Beat-up 49ers defense that isn't that good to begin with. So I like the Bucs to win this game. But there's so many injuries, so many questionable players on both sides of the ball. It's hard to predict. I think Ibuka's in for another big day if Tristan Wirfs plays, because if Baker Mayfield has time, he'll dissect this defense. But Mac Jones in the quick passing game was very dominant against the Rams, and that counteracts the type of defense Todd Bowles likes to run with a lot of blitzes, a lot of man coverage. Juwan Jennings participated in practice. Ricky Pearsall didn't. I'd imagine it'll be Kendrick Bourne and Juwan Jennings. Even if it's just Kendrick Bourne, I still like this 49ers offense. And I love the over in this game. I love Mac Jones over his completions, Emeka Egbuka over 74.5 receiving yards. And the best bet of the weekend, which I don't know how the line is this low, is CMC over 48.5 receiving yards. He was feasting in the passing game against the Rams on Thursday Night Football. If Juwan Jennings and Ricky Pearsall both don't play, CMC is going to be the wide receiver too on this offense. He should see more targets than anybody. He lines up all over the formation. It's not like he's just getting targets out of the backfield. He lines up in the slot. He lines up in the outside, and passes go his way. I think 48.5 receiving yards is free money for CMC. It's my favorite prop bet of the weekend for sure. But I like the over, and I like the Niners to cover this 3.5. They've been playing some great football. Mac Jones has been balling in this so far this season in Brock Purdy's absence. Let's get into Sunday Night Football. Lions, Chiefs. When these guys play in prime time, when Jared Goff and Patrick Mahomes play in prime time, as we know, it is cinema. The over-under is set at 52.5. I think this total smashes. I think we're in for an all-time barn burner because this Chiefs defense has regressed. They can't really rush the passer that well. Outside of Trent McDuffie, they don't have the greatest corners in the world. And Jared Goff with time in the pocket and this offense will tear you apart. And as like the Chiefs defense isn't bad. It's about middle of the pack, but they're weakest against the run. That's what the Lions love to do. They're going to establish the run. They're going to get into their play action. They're going to move the ball on this Chiefs defense. They're going to score points on this Chiefs defense. They're the highest scoring offense in the NFL. Since week one, they're averaging 40 points. So I have no doubt the Lions will put up numbers. And Patrick Mahomes has been playing at an MVP level so far this season. He's only gotten better. The offense has only gotten better as like week by week with Xavier Worthy coming back, third week with Xavier Worthy back. This offensive line is the best O-line Mahomes has had in a long time. He's going to tear up this Lions secondary that is without DJ Reed and Terrion Arnold. Both safeties are questionable as well. I love the over in this game. I love so many overs in the player prop market as well. Mahomes over 257.5 passing yards. Mahomes 3 passing touchdowns. Mahomes longest completion over 34.5 yards. Jared Goff over 1.5 passing touchdowns. Tyquan Thornton over his receiving total. Jahmyr Gibbs over 25.5 receiving yards. Amon-Ra anytime touchdown. I love all of those plays for Sunday Night Football. We are in for an absolute barn burner. The Lions defense is without Terrion Arnold and DJ Reed. This Chiefs offense has gotten better every single week so far this season, especially since they've gotten Xavier Worthy back. You're without your 2 starting corners against the second best quarterback to ever touch a football field, and he's playing at an MVP level. They are going to light up this Lions defense. Not to mention, this offensive line has been playing pretty lights out for Kansas City as well. And on the flip side, the Lions have been averaging 40 points per game since after week one. They're the highest scoring offense in the NFL. They love to run the football. That is the weakest part of this Chiefs defense that has regressed from the elite level it was for the past season and a half, 2 seasons. And they're weakest in the run game. So I think Jared Goff's going to get to the play action. They're going to run the ball effectively. They're going to put up points. Chunk plays are available in this Chiefs secondary because outside of Trent McDuffie, it's very weak. We are going to see, and Jared Goff's very good against the blitz as well. He gets the ball out really fast. He's been in the league a long time. Very quick processor, and Spags loves to drop the blitz. I think we're in for an absolute barn burner. Take Mahomes' props, take all the Chiefs receiving props because the Lions' run D is very good. Their front seven is the strength of this defense, especially with all the injury concerns in the back end. Mahomes is going to have an absolute field day against this Lions defense. And I think Jared Goff and this Lions offense is going to have a field day versus this Chiefs defense. With all that being said, the Chiefs are more desperate for a win. They're at home. They need this or they drop to 2-4 on the year, 2-5 on the year, would it be? No, 2-4. The Chiefs win. The Chiefs cover, or what are they? I don't even know. Whatever. The Chiefs win, the Chiefs cover, and this game goes over. I did this episode in 20 minutes, and I don't care. I'm going to end it short. I've been talking to this camera since that Thursday Night Football game started. It's 3:20 right now. I will say this, though. Live streaming is the move here. I will be going. So I had to go live on TikTok today for 25 minutes in order to unlock this OBS feature on TikTok where I can multi-stream basically on the OBS. And I've been streaming. I did my first ever like in-game stream today on what was I talking about? I did my first ever stream on this. It's called Assist, like streamonassist.com, and it syncs up the scoreboard and where we are in the game with what I'm saying. So I sync up where I am at in the game in real life with where I am in the stream, and basically I just react the whole time. So I'm going live on TikTok. I have to go on live 2 more times on TikTok before I can multi-stream it with Live Assist, and I'll be on Twitch as well. So we got some streams coming in the future. For Sunday, I'm going to stream the Jets game in the morning. Probably not stream during the 1 and 4 o'clock. Stream Sunday Night Football with the absolute barn burner. Probably go live on TikTok before Sunday Night Football, after the 4 o'clock games. This is all just brainstorming in my brain right now. I think that's the move for Sunday. And obviously, Monday night and Thursday Night Football, I'll always be going live for those games for the rest of the season, as long as I'm not working. So we are locked in. We are ready to go. We're making some moves here. Motion. We got some motion for sure. How could I forget? This episode is brought to you by PropSpot.ai. which gives you an AI algorithm confidence score from 0 to 1 on what prop bets are going to hit. It went 2-0 today. Jalen Hurts had his longest reception. Jackson, oh no, it didn't. It went 1-1. Jackson Dart was one completion short of his total. But anyway, the best player props for Sunday Night Football, Chiefs-Lions, absolute barn burner. Jahmyr Gibbs over 3.5 receptions. I think this game's going to be a shootout. Jahmyr's gotten this 70% of the time in his last 10 games. So 7 out of his last 10 games, he's gone over this total. I think Spags loves to send the blitz. That's going to cause for some quick dump offs. And Jahmyr Gibbs just always gets involved in the passing game, especially in what I think is going to be a high scoring affair. But most importantly, on PropSpot.ai, Jahmyr Gibbs to go over 3.5 receptions has a confidence score of 0.7. A confidence score, you might be wondering, is an AI algorithm that takes into account all of a player's past performances and how their matchup has done against similar props and similar players, and it puts it all together, every metric you could imagine, into a confidence score 0 to 1, 0.7, pretty high. But the highest one of the day is Noah Gray, longest reception, over 8.5 on Sunday Night Football, which has a confidence score of 0.74. They're going to be playing from behind a lot as well. I think they're going to take advantage of the weaknesses in this Lions secondary, and Noah Gray is going to be a big part of that. I think Mahomes is in for a big day. Noah Gray, longest reception, over 8.5. That's really one reception here. One reception from Noah Gray, and that goes over. So those are the best player props for Sunday Night Football. Use code DSOC for a week free trial on PropSpot.ai. Now, the best player props, according to PropSpot.ai, for the entirety of the NFL slate. The number one, and this is my favorite. Jonathan Taylor, the best player prop. The best player props for Sunday are Mason Taylor over 3.5 receptions in the London game. Start off your morning with a nice, easy W. I think the Broncos are going to shade a lot of coverage Garrett Wilson's direction because he's the only real receiving threat on this Jets offense. And even though Pat Surtain will be following, they should still shade coverage because no one else is really a threat except Mason Taylor, who has been a security blanket for Justin Fields. Cole Kmet had his best career season or statistical season with Justin Fields in Chicago. And Mason Taylor to have 4 catches has a 0.9 confidence score on PropSpot.ai, which gives you an AI algorithm that takes into account every single metric you could possibly think of to create a confidence score from 0 to 1. You're getting Mason Taylor at 0.9. That's not even the highest confidence score of the day. Jonathan Taylor at 1 o'clock against the Cardinals, over 2.5 catches, has a 1 confidence score there. The AI algorithm is screaming, take Jonathan Taylor over 2.5 catches. I think the Cardinals are going to be sneaky in this game. I really do. I think they have a good chance to win. And I think the Colts are going to be playing from behind a little bit more than a lot of people anticipate. Jonathan Taylor over 2.5 receptions. He's hit it 80% of the time this season. He's hit it 80% in his last 5 games. Well, that makes sense. They've been 5 games in the season. Either way, use code DSOC on PropSpot.ai for a 1-week free trial to use this AI algorithm. All right. Thank you, everybody, for listening. I'll catch you guys all in the next episode of the Fire Sports Takes podcast. The Eagles are a joke.